What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I got some awesome new cases today for the iPhone 17 Pro Max, brought to you by TAC. Now, they were nice enough to send me two cases, one in their diamond clear and one in their onyx clear. So we're going to take a look at both of those and just show you the differences, that they are the exact same case, just in two different types of clear. And then they were also nice enough to send me two different screen protectors, one that is matte and then one that is clear. And I'm not going to open these up in this video right now and put them on, but in a separate video, I have another how-to on how to put these screen protectors on for you. So thank you so much to TAC for sending these over. Can't wait to work with you guys and check out your cases. So to start out with, this is the box and it's extremely nice. I've never actually had a TAC case before, so very excited to see what these hold. And the packaging is automatically an A+ just to start off the bat. So kudos to them. And let's take a look and unbox these. So starting out with the diamond clear, all you have to do is slit the top right around there. And then on the bottom, you do have a little push where this kind of drawer comes out. And then we can just take that off. And here is the case itself in that diamond clear. It is super thin and really high quality. So I believe this has anti-yellowing, everything along those lines. So if you really want a nice, clear, thin case, this is definitely gonna be one to look at. And then you do have a little bit of paperwork on there as well. Go ahead and then just take that off. And then nothing else inside the box, just this little cardboard for holding the case itself. We'll put that off to the side. So here is the case in itself, in its bare bones. You can see it next to the 17 Pro Max here that I have in orange. So I can't wait to see how well, the color of this case does underneath this. You could see that MagSafe ring built in right there. It is not raised up at all, but it does have that white ring, and then very clear. On the sides, you have no actual built-in buttons. So, that's going to be based on your preference, whether you like that or not. And that's on either side. So your power button and camera button are fully open. But as I said, this case is ultra thin. So if you just want a very minimalistic case just for a little bit of protection on your iPhone, this is definitely going to be something to look at. You can see designed by TAC right there on the inside of the MagSafe there. And then on the bottom, you can see a pretty generous cutout for the amount of space that they have on the bottom of the case. And then pinhole cutouts for the speakers. If you've ever seen anything on the channel, I am more in favor of the full cutout of the speaker, but maybe for the dexterity of the case and just protection, they just went with the pinholes just to keep the construction a little bit stronger on that and not create any weak points along the edges there. If maybe they cut that out, maybe one of these might break if it fell or something like that. So I'm sure they had a reason for that design choice. And then you can see the camera plateau bump there, and I'll get into exactly how much protection that is going to give you along those lines. So just initial pull test and twist test. No cracking, nothing like that. It's actually pretty stiff for the pulling, so that's good. On the top and bottom, very stiff there as well. So going to give that some points right off the bat. So let's get this case onto the phone itself. All right, so we got the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the TAC clear case. We're gonna go just bottom to top, snap that on, and here you go. So you can really see right off the bat just how minimalistic this case is. Very thin and very clear, really brings out all that color. I'm not actually hating the white on the orange. It kind of just accentuates a little bit, give it some accent color. So not hating it as much as I necessarily thought it would. I'm not the biggest fan of the Apple cases, the clear cases with just the whole white back there. I bought an orange iPhone for a reason. Really just want to keep to that. All right, so here is your full initial impressions. You can see how thin it is and how clear it is. Really nice product there. A little bit of scuffing. That's just something on the top there. That's on me, not on the actual case itself. And then flipping it over, let's check some of the side profile and how much extra space you're going to get. So it does give screen protection there as well, maybe a millimeter, maybe 1.5 millimeters, doesn't really matter. It is actually raising up there, so nice to see all the way around. And if you do have a screen protector on here, the edges don't really come over the edge onto the screen that much, so I don't think if your screen protector is just a little bit off, how sometimes it can push it and make it bubble, I don't really think you're gonna have too big of a problem with that. It's, as you can see right here, it is just right along the edge of that orange outer, and then you can see the bezels there. So I don't think at all you're gonna have a problem with any screen protector bubbling or anything like that. And then let's just take a look at the buttons and how easy they are to access, being that they are full cutouts, so just pressing all of them. Very easy to get your finger in there, absolutely no problem. You're probably gonna have to, clean this, maybe take the case off or just get a Q-tip and clean out some of the dust and finger oils that might accumulate there. But if you're a fan of cases that don't have buttons or you're okay with that, I kind of like this. They are raised up a little bit just to protect those buttons, but still very easy to get your finger in there. And then the power button as well, kind of that same, you can feel it when you rub your finger over that. And then the camera button, we're just gonna get into that since it's right here. Usually I do that a little bit later in my videos, but being able to swipe your finger back and forth, it's not deep at all because of how thin the case is. So very easy to maneuver that camera button. So definitely not an issue. But if you do want a case with a camera button on it, this is not going to be the case for you. But in terms of a case without a camera button, this is definitely one of the better ones that I've ever tested, just because of how thin it is and how easy it is to get your finger in there. But obviously no protection for that button. And then going back down to the bottom of the case, you can see those pinhole cutouts for the speakers. They are perfectly aligned, which is nice. So any minimal loss of sound quality based on those, it's gonna be as minimal as possible just based on how good they are. And then still a fairly decent USB-C cutout for charging. And as I said, this is really coming down to the wire there for how thin that is. So they did give it as much space as possible, which I can definitely appreciate. All right, and let's take a look at MagSafe strength on this case as well. Got my usual Taurus ring. If you want to pick this up, usually get some comments about this. I'll have a link down in the description below as well, so you can pick this up from Amazon, but test every case with this. So let's go ahead and snap that on. Very strong. Let's bring that up here. Give it some bounces. Besides that fell really hard, and the case is fine. So that's some good news for TAC as well, but very strong there. Giving it just a normal tugs and twists. That's pretty strong. I have no issue with that. If you have a wallet or anything on your phone, it is definitely not going to come off very easily. It can hold the phone, everything like that. So very good MagSafe from TAC. Appreciate that. And I really like how most case companies are paying attention to MagSafe these days. All right, and let's take a look at that camera plateau. Obviously, it's not the fully covered type on some of the other cases. So if you turn it like this, you do see a really big ridge right there. Not sure how everyone thinks about it, but obviously to then protect your camera bumps, right? All three cameras, you're gonna need to raise that up quite a bit. And then just looking at it, you do have some solid protection over that. That's going to be another millimeter or 2 millimeters above. So if you do drop your phone like that, you are going to be fully protecting those three different cameras. It is just a little weird to look at this one side where it isn't raised and just kind of have this larger lip over there, but really doesn't bother me at all. Putting the phone down, let's do a side-to-side test. Absolutely no movement there. Obviously going to have some there and none on the bottom. So really nice there. You can set your phone down face up and still not have any of that wiggle that we've had on the past couple of Pro models. And then obviously setting your phone down on the front, you're going to have protection from those lips. Doesn't really slide at all, which is nice. You do have a fair bit of slide, kind of that air hockey slide with this case because it is clear and soft, but no real smudging or nicking on that or scraping just from doing that on my wood desk. So that's really nice to see. And then pulling it out from the sides, that is super tight. One of the tightest cases that I have tried on the 17 Pro Maxes, and even near the buttons where you usually get a lot more of that pull, or near the camera button, you're not getting any there. Take a look at the top. Absolutely pretty much none. It is really hard. I'm actually like hurting my thumb trying to pull that because of how thin this case is and how hard it is to get that off. So very big kudos there on how tight of a case this is to fit. And then, as I said, they did send over the Onyx clear case as well. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. I'm not going to go over the full specs of it because it is the exact same case, but just to show you what the Onyx clear looks like, especially on the orange or maybe the blue, just to give you an outlook on which one you might want, because I have taken a look at this case and it is a bit different on the orange. All right, so here you go. Here's your iPhone 17 Pro Max and then the Onyx clear case as well. Same thing, bottom to top, snaps right in. So let me know what you guys actually think about this down in the comments, because it really muddies the orange. Obviously, you have the nice orange on the camera bump right there, trying to make sure that it stays in focus with the lights and everything. So if I'm looking over there, that's why. But just bringing it down here, you can see, I mean, it's really like a Halloween type of case. It just kind of reminds me of the pumpkin feel of the orange with the dark. It's really nice with the black MagSafe there as well, instead of the white. So just keeping with the darker theme. But I'm not really sure how I necessarily feel about it. I really love this case itself. We're going to take off this little protective casing there on the edge, just to really bring out all the color. Forgot that that was on there. So let me know down in the comments, because I'm kind of 50-50 on if I like it or not. I really like the Onyx clear look. I think on the white iPhone, this one will look incredible, or maybe even on an Air, or possibly on the blue. I wish I had the blue Pro Max to test this out on. But, you know, I'm not sure if I want to rock this one or the clear one. I really enjoy this case a lot and think it's going to be really good. Obviously, it's not going to give you the utmost protection that other cases will give you, just because of how thin it is all the way around. But for a minimalistic case for your iPhone, where you still want that iPhone feel, 10 out of 10, this is definitely going to be one of the best thin clear cases for you. So overall rating for the TAC Onyx Clear and Diamond Clear case. So from a construction standpoint, I'm definitely going to give this a 10 out of 10. These do price at $35 online. So right in that mid-range of expensive versus not expensive. You know, usually that $20, $25 range is where some people kind of draw that line. But for a high quality case, I definitely think you're going to be moving into that 30 to 45 level. And then you have, you know, your ultra premium cases that are $60 and plus that you really got to think about if you want to buy that. But overall construction, definitely 10 out of 10. Look is 10 out of 10 between the Onyx and the clear case. It just kind of depends on which look you want to go for on it, full clear or this kind of darker opaque look, but to your preference. So you can't really go wrong with either. Protection is definitely going to be middle of the road, you know, 5 out of 10 there. It's going to protect from small drops out of your pocket, things like that. Wouldn't necessarily rely on this for everyday full protection, having it fall off your desk or anything like that, but still going to give you just enough. And then camera protection there is standard. MagSafe is solid, 8.5 out of 10, no issues there. So overall, I'm going to give this case a 9.6 out of 10. I love how thin it is. I love how usable it is, and the confidence the case gives you. It is very grippy on the back. You know, it's really not slick, something that I didn't mention. So you can just hold your phone like this, pretty much at that angle, before it actually falls off because of the tackiness of your fingers and everything like that. So really nice grip, can't really go wrong. Can't recommend this case enough. We'll see how well it lasts and how durable it is with everyday use. But if you want to go ahead and pick one of these up, I do have some links down in the description and in the comments. It does help the channel out. And thank you so much to TAC for sending these cases over along with the screen protectors. And I will be doing a TAC iPhone Air review sometime in the future as well. So stay tuned for that. If you like these videos and if they bring you any help in figuring out which case you want for your new iPhone, hit that like button, as it really helps these videos reach other people like yourselves during this iPhone season. And subscribe to the channel to stay tuned for all my next videos. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.